Hello people of YouTube. If you are new to my channel, my name is Eirik and I've been running this channel for about 4 or 5 years. I thought I wanted to make a video where I give you some tips on making gear videos, pedal videos, or just filming yourself playing the guitar. There's a lot of pedals and gear in general on the market these days and people want to make videos about them. Actually, the same day as I'm filming this, I saw that Brian Wampler of Wampler Effects did a similar video and he had some really good tips too, so I'll link his video in the cards up in the corner. But yeah, since I have some experience making pedal demos for a while now, I wanted to make a video where I share some of the stuff that I've learned up and through the years with you so you can make better videos. Let's go. The first thing is audio. Before you even start to think about cameras, videography, editing, you need to get your sound right, because that's the reason why people are checking out your videos. They want to see how a piece of gear sounds. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. If you are doing pedal demos, you will probably need an amp. I use a Tone King Imperial, which is kind of based on a Fender Deluxe reverb. It's a very clean Fenderish type of amp. It is quite expensive. You don't need to get a very expensive amp. Actually, some of my favorite videos on YouTube are probably made with just a Fender Blues Deluxe or a Fender Blues Junior. I would go for a tube amp, but don't let that stop you from doing any pedal demos. So when you have an amp that you think sounds good, you will probably need a microphone to mic up the amp. A couple of good microphones that you can use is the Shure SM57. If you have an SM58 laying around, you can definitely use that one too. I know Schnobel Tone uses an SM58 actually instead of a 57. I also have some good experience with the Sennheiser E906 and 609. Those are also really good microphones that you can use. For me, I don't use microphones anymore because I have a 2-Notes Torpedo Live, which is a load box and a cab simulator. The reason why I got this was actually because of pedal demos, and I wanted to record my pedal demos silently because I used to live in a very small flat and I couldn't play out loud, so I needed the Torpedo Live. If you can afford it, it's a really good solution. The sounds are amazing. You're still using your amp. Overall, it's just a really good solution of recording yourself when you're playing the guitar. After the microphone or the cab simulator, if you go for that, you will need an interface. My interface of choice is the RME Babyface. In my opinion, you can basically use everything on the market. Don't worry too much about price. There are, of course, differences in the preamps, but in my experience, you don't need the best preamps to record a simple pedal demo. After the interface, you need a computer or Mac with a DAW. With Macs, I know you have a free software installed on your Mac already, which is GarageBand, which is more than good enough for recording a simple video. You can also upgrade to Logic, you can get Pro Tools. There are loads of different ones. There are probably some cheaper free versions for PC as well, if you're using a PC. So now you have everything to get sound. You will probably need to play around with the microphone and find the right position. I would strongly recommend that you use a lot of time getting the sound right before you think about filming, because as I mentioned, it's probably the most important thing when you're doing a gear review or demo or just filming yourself playing. So when you feel that you have the sound nailed, you can move on to the video part. Most of you probably have a phone laying around, and that's probably the cheapest and easiest way to capture video when you don't have a lot of money. Of course, phones, they cost a lot, but a lot of you have already made that investment. The best tip I have for you, if you are going to use your cell phone, is to use some kind of third-party app to take control over the camera on your phone. You don't want it to be constantly in autofocus mode, for example. Maybe you want to do some custom white balance settings. There are a couple of good ones that you can get for iOS, at least that I know of, and I would strongly recommend using that instead of just using the one that comes with your phone. If you want to take it up a notch from the iPhone, you can get a DSLR, and I would say that that's a really huge improvement when it comes to videography. The phone cameras are good indeed, but when you have a DSLR and you can change lenses, you can get a completely different image from what your iPhone or Android phone can do. It's often about the depth of field. When you're using a cell phone, you have kind of everything in focus. And when you have a DSLR with a good lens, you can have yourself playing in focus, and then you can kind of blow out everything in the background and make it blurry and make that out of focus. And that is often a very cool and filmatic look on your video. If you get a DSLR, or if you are using your phone as well, I would spend a lot of time researching photography and videography on YouTube. I would watch a lot of videos about it. I would go out and take photos. I would practice a lot before I start. This is something that I probably didn't do that much in the beginning, but as I went on making videos, I learned that I really needed to improve my videography skills, and that took me a lot of practice and a lot of watching YouTube videos about photography and videography. When I film my demos, I use two cameras. I use one camera filming me playing the guitar, and I use one camera filming the pedal. This is of course a lot more expensive. It's double the price because you need two cameras, and there are a lot of good ways to just use one camera if that's all you can afford. So bear in mind, you don't need two cameras to make a really good pedal video. It's just something that I prefer to do, but you can definitely get away with just using one camera. I use quite expensive cameras, to be honest, but it's also because I am a freelance videographer and I use them for paid work. I wouldn't necessarily need to use these cameras. It's a lot about how you use them. And one thing that is really important then is lighting. I would recommend that you film and record in a room where you have full control over the light. That means no sunlight, and you will probably need some LED lights or cheaper solutions to control the light entirely. This is not something that you necessarily have to spend a lot of money on. In the beginning, I just made my own lighting solutions. There are many DIY solutions that you can find on YouTube. Now I'm using two LED lights from Aperture, and a good tip when it comes to lighting, always look into diffusion, which is making the light softer. I see a lot of people using very hard light in their videos, and that's something that will make the quality of your video not that good. So look into diffusion. It's simply putting like a white cloth or something in front of your light to soften it up. You can buy something, or you can find some really cheap solutions on the internet. So that's something that I would look into. I always have one light in front and I have one light in the back to kind of give this glow around me and the guitar when I'm playing. If you are really good with lighting, you can probably not see a big difference from a $500 camera to a $5,000 camera if you are really good with lighting and setting up everything in a good way. If you are using two cameras, there's one thing that you always should remember is to match up the shots, especially the white balance. You should set a custom white balance on both of them and make them look similar, so you don't have two angles that looks completely different. That's a really important thing to remember. When you have everything filmed and recorded, you need to bring it into your PC or Mac. Editing software is expensive. On the Mac you have iMovie, which is free, but you can also get Final Cut, Premiere and other stuff. I would recommend, if you don't want to spend money, you can get a software called DaVinci Resolve, and they have a free version that is really good. It's kind of complicated, but it's really good software and you can do a whole lot in there. One thing that I do when I film my videos is that I film in a flat profile. That means that I film with very little saturation and contrast. I do this so I can make the best possible images in post-production. It's kind of hard to explain, but if your camera has the option to film in a flat mode or log mode, definitely look into that and you can get really nice looking images. For filming in log and color grading, which is a really big part of my videos, I would check out this video by DSLR Guide, which describes how you can do some easy color grading to your videos. My last tip to you about making demos is to try to make something new. There's a lot of people making demos now and it's kind of hard to stand out from everything on YouTube. So try to be creative, try to do something new, and it would be easier for you to reach more people. That's my tips to you in regards to making videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try to help you. Also, you can send me an email, you can send me a PM on Facebook or Instagram, and I will try to help you the best that I can if you want to start making videos. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, give this a like if you do like it, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.